What's up, everybody? It is AD here, joined by Dragon. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Doing good. Got second at the tournament, but overall doing pretty good.
Oh, it's okay. We'll get to that in a little bit. No, I understand it's fresh on your mind because we are here at the RTX Austin event for MK11 that was hosted by E-League. But before we get into that, I kind of want to go back and talk about just the pro competition for MK11 so far this year. Obviously, you are a part of that and are looking to compete. So before the game came out, did you already have an idea of who you wanted to play, and was it Cetrion?
It was actually when I first got the game. Actually, even before I got the game, like I'm sure people saw my Twitter when the Cetrion trailer came out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's perfect. She's like my character or whatever." And so when I first got the game, we're back to there. When I first got it, she was the first character that I went into practice mode with. That was the first thing I did, and I knew that she was my character for sure. She has everything I like: defensive play, zoning tools, but can also, have some form of like she can play her part if you're up close, and she was everything I was looking for. In a character, gameplay wise, and like how she acts. Like characters who act like they're better than everyone else, pretty much. I don't know why I get attracted to those characters, because like I hate people who are like that in real life, but in games, I love it. So it was perfect.
Yeah, and we saw that same kind of thing with your character choice in Injustice 2 as well, with you choosing to play Black Adam. You kind of had, a certain kind of attitude. So no, that makes sense. And the first big tournament for that was Combo Breaker, and that was about a month or so after the game came out.
Right.
So going into that, how prepared did you feel?
I felt pretty prepared, as much as I could be. Obviously, it's only a month in. Everybody was basically a month in. Like, obviously, it's a new game, and 2 years from now, we're gonna look back and be like, "Oh my God, everyone played so ugly there." But as well as I could, I did prepare. I tried to play as many matchups as I could, because I didn't want to go to the tournament and lose to some Jim Bob 23, his Frost or whatever, and be like, "Oh my God, it just came out. I don't know what the heck Frost is doing." Right. So I really wanted to make sure I knew at least a little bit about every character. And I did prepare on that front, and I also prepared for the characters who we deemed top tier at the time and the popular characters, and I practiced versus them the most, because if they're the most popular, then you're going to see them the most, right? So I tried to practice versus them as much as I could, and I got fifth there. So for first tournament, it's fine, get better and better, and you prepare better and better each tournament.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that as well, as far as, you did make top 8, which, of course, going into a tournament, that's everybody's goal, at least want to make top 8. I mean, well, technically, first, everybody wants to win, right?
Yes.
But kind of taking it in baby steps, it's like, okay, I got to get that top 8 spot. So once you did make fifth at Combo Breaker. Now, then again, from there, we had about another month for CEO.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, so what did you kind of take away from that Combo Breaker tournament that you felt you needed to work on that you did in between then and CEO?
Right, well, I lost to Wathminator, who played Jade, and she was actually one of the characters I didn't practice much versus, because no one really played her. Like, KP played her, but it was like I felt like he mainly played ranked, so we didn't, I asked him once or something, but I didn't really get much experience versus her. I was practicing versus everyone else. And then I lost to Smij, of course, Katana. And honestly, in those two tournament matches, I realized that I was kind of getting antsy almost. Like against Smij, I was jumping a lot when I don't need to. Against Katana, she's one of the characters who can anti or Cetrion, and I knew that in my head. And so I just needed to work on playing solid. Which is all I always want to try to play solid. Like, how do I play solid in this scenario, that scenario, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what I try to work on. And obviously I look back on my matches and see, little things that I can improve on as well. And you just honestly keep playing and practicing, and that's all it comes down to, really.
Yeah, so going into CEO, you had quite a run at CEO. I mean, I was there and I was just watching, and even just being in that arena for that top 8, everyone was talking about how solid you were playing.
Yeah.
But even before then, going into there, what was your confidence level like when it came to CEO?
I was very confident for CEO, actually. I felt like I prepared very well. I was doing well versus pretty much any player I played online, whether it be, Hayate, Sonic Gur, like all the top players right now, Samij, anyone like that. So I felt like I prepared enough to beat any player that I come up against, even Sonic. And obviously, it showed. I got second there, and I still did beat Sonic. But I felt very confident, and I actually thought I was going to win the whole thing. But I got second, so it happens.
Hey, second isn't bad,
Yeah.
but of course it's not first. So
Right.
I understand how that feels. So going back to that moment, I know it was only like 6 days ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you recall in that moment when it came to grand finals or when he was able to reset, what was going through your mind in that moment?
In that moment, well, first it was 1-0 me at the very start, so I was feeling good, and I was actually up a round in the second game, and I actually almost took the second game. He had like 40% left or something like that, which is still a lot, but like I almost took the second game, and I feel like being up 2-0 would have given me a huge advantage against him, but it didn't go like that, so we reset the bracket, and I kind of, took a break. And it's like a whole new set. You gotta think about what he was doing, that I can punish, what I was doing that he was punishing, how we might change up our play styles in the next set. But I actually still felt confident versus him. Obviously, it's Sonic, so, but I still felt like I could beat him, even after the reset. Even when he was up 2-1, I think it was, I still felt I could come back and beat him. But I think that just goes to me as a player that I'm always confident in my play. And I think you have to be to do well. I always say mindset is the biggest thing besides actually playing and practicing. It might be even bigger at the highest level. I think mindset is bigger. A lot of players who aren't confident in their play will actually play worse than if they were confident, which is funny. It's some mental thing that happens that if you don't have the right mindset, you're just not going to play well.
No, and I've seen that as well. The player, you do have to be in that right mindset. Sometimes you can even get into your own head a little bit and start doubting yourself or, second guessing, and
Right.
things just fall apart. And I've talked to players afterwards, and they felt like I wasn't playing like myself. So I think that's a huge point. You do have to be in the right mindset. And you did also talk a little bit about, in the moment, you have to adapt pretty quickly, right?
Yes.
And
Definitely.
which is a huge part of that, being able to adapt in the moment. But the other big part that you were talking about is preparing. So you don't have to go into every single detail,
right.
but what are the best things that you really do to prepare, in between each and every tournament?
Right. So I have a very good training regimen now that I feel like I've perfected over the 4 years that I've been playing since MKX in 2015. So basically what I have now is, without giving too much away.
Can't go away all.
Yeah, exactly. Got to keep some. But the main thing that I do now is I play versus as many characters as I can, and the top players for the respective characters. So Jackie, I'll play Sonic's a great Jackie. Tweety, I'll play players like those. For Katana, you got Samij, and I'll try to play all these top players with their characters. And then after the sets with them, online sets, I'll go back into practice mode, and I'll see. I'll practice what they did, situations that I didn't understand when we were playing. So if Samij did back 1 4 2, just a whole string, and he was down 3 afterwards, what can I do to beat that? And then his options basically to my options and everything like that. And you go back and play that player again, and obviously he labbed as well. So you're both going to be playing that matchup at a more leveled up pace. Like you'll both be better at that matchup, and you do it again and again and again, and eventually you get to the point where you feel so comfortable in that matchup that you can move on to the next character, basically. And that's kind of what my training regimen is.
Yeah, and I'm sure it took you a bit of time to kind of figure that out.
For sure.
Right? So, when you're first starting out and competing, I think most people, they don't know what to do, where to start.
Yeah.
You look at these other players, but then eventually you kind of start developing, your own groove of things and your own preparation. And not everyone necessarily has to prepare the way that you do.
No, they don't.
Right? Everyone has their own ways, whatever works for them.
Yes.
And clearly, this is really working for you.
This works for me, yes.
Yeah, you should keep doing exactly what you're doing, basically.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and then even going into today, like I said, we are at RTX Austin, which is not a pro competition event. It was something separate, but I thought it was a great event,
Yes,
something to have
good, yeah.
outside of that. So, and getting right into it, you played a lot of gears today. There were a lot of, I think it was close to about really 15 gears matches, no exaggeration.
Too much.
A little bit too much?
A little bit, just a little.
Yeah, so coming into this, how did you feel? This, seeing as it's not, your standard major tournament.
Right. It was definitely different. I was confident going into it, but I've actually been practicing the new character Shang a lot in preparation for Evo, but he actually wasn't legal here at this tournament, so I couldn't play him. So I was confident, but I was like, I haven't been practicing Cetrion as much because I want Shang to be ready for Evo, where, in my opinion, it really matters. Like, that's where you get the most points. That's where, like, almost everything is on the line. So, I'll definitely be putting him out for Evo, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you had a lot of tight matches today.
Yeah,
so
very close.
A lot of those moments, pixels of health, and a lot of back and forth going on.
Yeah,
so
my heart was, I thought I would go into cardiac arrest, honestly. Like, those were crazy matches.
But something that people say, and even I see, is that it just looks like you keep your composure up on that stage. So when it comes to those last hit moments, that pixel of health, how is it that you're able to keep such good composure at those times?
A lot of people say that I am composed, and I am, but, like, inside, if you could see my brain, like, okay, I don't know if you've seen the SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob is, like, looking for, like, a folder in his brain. Like, there's a whole bunch of SpongeBobs looking for a folder, and it catches on fire. That's literally my brain during those moments. But somehow I can, like, still keep composed and play solid. And I feel like I realize what people want to do in those clutch moments, and just kind of slowing it down even just by a little bit in those clutch, pixel moments. I think it really helped me in being like such a composed and clutch player.
I think the tough part about those moments, and maybe what you would see from a less experienced player, is they panic. I mean,
yes.
They honestly do, because,
sure.
You feel, oh, it's just one hit. They mash or something, or they throw out, some move, they throw out a super, they throw out something, they're like, this is all that I need, and they'll be dead.
Teleport or something.
Exactly, yeah. You don't do that, but because you know better, because at this level of play, you know that, the person you're playing against, they may be looking for it.
Exactly.
They know that you're a smart player, you probably won't do it, but just in case, you kind of have to kind of throw them off guard a little bit, and do something that they wouldn't expect, like playing slower.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. I think everyone plays different in those very clutch situations. You got some players who will play more composed, so you can kind of play more composed, and then there's some players who kind of will do something maniac. To try to, like, oh, it's only this little bit of health. If I just do this, like, I'll win. And they'll do it, and then I'll just block because, like, they're obviously going to do something stupid, and they'll lose, and I'll be like, oh, my God, why did I do that? So it's definitely, like, player dependent on what they'll do. And just kind of playing a whole bunch of people, you kind of realize what they want to do.
Yeah. And obviously, like I said, we were able to see that today in some of those moments where you were able to keep that composure.
Right.
But unfortunately, you did come up
did.
short.
Yes.
I know that was a really, really tough loss.
Yeah.
But, you came up so close, and you were able, I think you went 10 games in that last, because it was reset.
It was a lot. Yeah.
It was a whole lot, but
I went to losers in the first round, so I had to play tons of players tons of Garruses. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was Garruses.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. Today was just a Garrus day for you.
It was a Garrus day. It was like a training Garrus.
You got your practice in for that.
Yeah.
So when you were able to reset, at that moment, kind of similar to when you played against SonicFox, did you still feel like, okay, I can beat him? I'm right there. I can still do this. Were your confidence levels still that high?
Yes, I think they were. I always try to keep a positive mindset no matter what. Like, even when he was up, he actually went up 2-0 versus me. Yeah. And right as he was actually doing the final combo, not to close out the set, but to get game 2, to be up 2-0, like during his combo, I was like, that's okay. I can reverse 3-0 him. Like I've done it to other players before. I literally was repeating it in my head over and over and over and over and over again. I can reverse 3-0 him. I can reverse 3-0 him. I can reverse 3-0 him. And just saying, I feel like saying that in your head, at least for me, it helps so much because just saying something can really like help you. It's like, there's this thing in psychology where if you're sad or depressed, if you just smile like randomly without being happy, you can actually like feel better. So I feel like it's almost like that. And I think that's really what helps me. Like in any situation, I always try to keep a positive mindset. And I think that's really what kept me super close and almost reverse 3-0ing him. Obviously, like it came down to the last couple of reads, but that's what it came down to. Either of us could have took it. He clutched it out better than me today, but we'll see what happens at the next one. Maybe I'll clutch it out better.
Does a part of you kind of want that run back in some way, maybe at Evo?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I want to. I do.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Like anyone I lose to, I always want the run back. Like I want the run back against Sonic too. Yeah. Like if I could have Gur and Sonic to make top 8 at Evo, like I'd want that because I want my run back. I put a lot of my time into the characters that I lose to at tournaments, the characters and players, and really try to see why I'm losing to those characters. Is it the matchup or can I get better? And that's why actually I still play Cetrion. A lot of people say, Dragon, you probably needed another character, you're being stubborn or whatever. And I feel like I wasn't. It was just I really wasn't sure how, like, obviously the game is new, right? So I wasn't sure how those matchups would actually play out. Like, obviously I thought Garrus would beat Cetrion, like, in the beginning. But I was always like, okay, maybe I can play it this way. Maybe I can play it that way. And you need time to really solidify something. So that's why I kind of kept playing Cetrion, because sometimes it's not the matchup. Sometimes you can do things differently in a matchup that you're not currently thinking of. And that's why I was playing only her for so long. But now I got Shang, so I'll probably be playing Shang against Garrus now. So, yeah.
And as far as you choosing to play Shang, because anytime someone decides to pick up a new character, it's almost like you're starting back at square one.
Right.
It's like you understand, obviously, the mechanics of the game. So now you need to understand, okay, how do I, use this character and, still play, the way that I need to in order to, beat these players. So tell me, well, actually, it's probably kind of obvious, but as far as picking Shang, is it because he reminded you of Shinnok at all, or did you already kind of think you wanted to play him?
So I already wanted to play him in general. So I like female characters, and I also like evil sorcerers. So he kind of reminded me of Shinnok. I know it's weird, like female badasses and then like sorcerers. It's really weird. But yeah, I always wanted to play him at first, but he kind of does have like a Shinnok vibe with him with the Hell Sparks. He has those, the Ground Sparks. And then, he kind of actually not his moves, but he actually has a similar playstyle to Cetrion. In where you can play him defensively, and he also has good staggers. He actually has a decent backdash, obviously not as good as Cetrion, but you can play him very defensively, and you can play him like Cetrion. But the thing is, he also has other tools from Cetrion, so he might do better in matchups where Cetrion doesn't, and that's kind of why I picked him up.
Okay. Well, and I'm definitely very excited to see what your Shang Tsung's going to look like at EVO. I'm sure it'll be very polished. All of the matchups and all your preparation, will all go into play on that. So obviously, best of luck to you at EVO. I'm clearly looking forward. You're going to make that top 8 for sure. You're good.
Honestly, I want EVO to be my win because, at CEO, I really thought in my heart that was my weekend. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually, after we got our medals or whatever, and Sonic got the belt, I actually didn't look at Sonic. If you watch it back, I couldn't see him get the belt because in my heart, I was playing so well, and I was like, this is my weekend. I'm gonna win that belt. I'm gonna go home with the belt, everything. And I actually cried after that. I don't think anyone saw it. I tried to not let anyone see it. But because I really felt like it was my weekend. And I played so well, but, it doesn't happen. And I got second here, second at CEO. So hopefully EVO is, my time to shine and hopefully get that first place because I am tired of second places. I need a first place.
Oh, and you went through a similar thing for a while through MKX when it came to SonicFox. You always, came second to him. So, no, but obviously something like this, you said it's a big motivator for you.
It is.
So you may continue to get these second places, not get these wins, but, it makes you want to, play even harder, train even harder. And I'm sure that we're going to see so much of that at EVO. So like I said, I'm excited to see you at that point. So that's all I really got today so far. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. And I will catch you guys next time. Yay!